It just came into my head that my dad is son of John.
When you say it's a special place, what's special about it?
It's not with our house. And I'm with my mother, but I no longer sense my father. There aren't many people, many families, but we all have the same sort of hut.
So take a little time to get used to where you are in your surroundings now. And can you look down to your feet? Are you wearing anything on them?
No.
What are you standing on?
Mossy ground.
Take a little time now to just work your way up your body and feel or see what you're wearing. Take your time and just describe to me what you have on.
It feels like rough, dark cloth, a dress of some description, just hanging above my ankles. I'm not cold, but I've just got a basic cloth on dress, and I can feel the moss between my toes.
Can you describe the shape of this dress? Any details?
It just hangs. I think I've got a cord belt round it, and it has sleeves, but it's very basic.
Do you have anything on underneath your dress?
No.
What colour is your dress?
It's grey brown colour. Not really a colour, just neutral.
And if you work your way up, what's your hair like, or do you have anything on your head?
I think my hair is brown, but I don't have anything on it, and I feel quite young. I feel like I'm not in my teens. When I'm older, I'll wear different clothes, but this is all I need.
What do you know about yourself?
I like to run around with the other children. I don't feel unsafe where I am. I have a family. Life is okay.
What's your name?
I'm guessing Mary.
You have a family name, Mary?
It just came into my head that my dad is son of John.
Vicky at one point says, I think she says it twice actually, she says that the surname is Johnson, or she says that somebody is John, son of John. And that's quite a period way of saying a surname. Quite often you would have a Johnson because the father was John and the son is John, so you're son of John. It's certainly very Nordic. I know the Nordic peoples used to use that a lot. So you get Jorgensen and so on. But it was actually something that was used in England quite a lot.
What's your mum's name?
My dad calls her something beginning with S. It could be Sue. It could be Sally. My mum is my mum.
And what's your father's name?
I call him father.
It's quite interesting that she doesn't have names really for her parents. I think she mentions her mother's name, but when we keep asking her about her father, it's definitely father. And that's quite interesting because I suppose that period they would probably not have even acknowledged that their parents had a name. There would have been a hierarchy and father was father.
What does he do?
I think he's a blacksmith. He's big and strong, and he works in a special place. And I'm feeling like there's fire, like it's a forge. But it's not somewhere that I go often. I've seen him there, I know it's what he does, but I don't go there.
When you say it's a special place, what's special about it?
It's not with our house. He goes there.
Where's there? What country, town is it?
Something to do with apple. Apple bee, apple something. I don't really know. I think we are from Appleby. But it could be apple door. I'm not sure. Apple something.
What country is that in?
Oh, we're in England.
What part of the country? What part of England?
It feels like we're in the south, but I don't really know. I don't know where we are.
Do you know anything of anywhere else around you? You know, anything that's going on in the country?
There's a local village and they have fairs. But we stay where we are. We don't travel. We don't go outside.
What's that local village called then?
I think we're in Appleby.
So if you like to look around you now, just take in what's around you, what you can smell, what you can hear, what you can see. Can you describe to me what you're seeing?
We have straw on the floor and it sometimes gets muddy when it's cold. But we have the people in the other families have huts like ours, maybe in a circle round a middle part. There aren't many people, many families, but we all have the same sort of hut. And it feels like there's mud and straw involved. we're not wealthy, we're villagers. We have shelter and we have food and we're safe.
The date Vicky gave was, I believe, 1291, and she talked about living in mud huts that were arranged in a circular fashion with other families living. They each had their own hut and they'd arranged them in a circle. They had straw on the floor. She had no shoes and she was wandering around getting muddy feet, and her mother didn't seem to mind, which was lovely. Her clothing appeared to be just a loose-fitting dress with a bit of string around the waist, and that's probably consistent with what I would consider to be life as a life in a Saxon village in 1291.
But it's not big. Maybe 6, maybe 8 other huts around in our village. And I play with the other children. I seem to be fine playing with the other children. I don't have anyone who bullies me or anyone special. I just play with the other children. And we run round the huts and we sometimes get muddy feet. But my mother doesn't seem to mind when I come home with muddy feet.
With regards to not wearing much on her feet, she mentions that she's barefoot quite a lot, and I felt that she sounded like she was in England. Nigel at one point thought maybe it could be Europe or indicate Europe because she's not got anything on her feet and she seems to be barefoot quite a lot, and because of weather you would wear things on your feet in that period. It's really hard to tell because it depends how poor they are, and maybe she was just remembering a warmer time, or maybe they really were quite poor and they didn't have a lot on their feet. And when you're used to walking around barefoot, you're a little bit more hardy to the weather. So perhaps she would have been able to go barefoot right into the autumn because she'd be aware of it and kind of used to it. That's quite an interesting subject to discuss because that's just interpretation from us why we think it might be Europe, because she's barefoot and therefore the weather.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I don't feel like I have anyone close to look after. I don't feel like I'm very old. And I don't feel like my mother's at home with a baby or anything. So I don't think I have brothers and sisters.
Okay, allow those images to fade now, those feelings to fade. And tell me what you're doing.
I feel like I'm still in the village. I feel older now. I think I'm wearing a pale blue dress. It's not particularly special, it's just a pale blue dress, and I'm seeing a white apron that I'm wearing. My feet still feel as though they're bare. I'm not wearing things on my feet. And I'm with my mother, but I no longer sense my father. I don't know why, but I don't feel sad about that. So maybe I haven't had my father for a while, but I definitely think my mother is still with me. She wears a white cap round her head, like it's wrapped of white cloth to cover her hair. And we make food, we bake. I think my mother's a cook and we bake food, and I think it's just us two. I don't sense any presence of my father at all anymore. And we look after each other. And I don't feel like I'm married or I have any family of my own. I think I'm with my mother and we're actually baking and we're cooks. And I think we do it for a nearby bigger house. I don't think we cook in our own house. I think we just live there. We're in our own place in the village, but I think we go somewhere else to do our work, which is cooking in the kitchen.
How old are you?
I feel like I'm in my teens. I feel like I'm grown up and old enough to start thinking about being married, but I'm not there yet. I haven't got a husband, I haven't got married, I'm still with my mother, I'm still working with her. So I'm probably in my teens.
What year is it?
I'm still getting 1291. I'm not getting a different year. So I don't think I'm aware of the passage of time externally. I don't think I count time.
What season is it? Is it warm?
It feels like summer because it's warm and I'm comfortable walking around with nothing on my feet. I don't feel uncomfortable with that and I don't feel cold. So I think it must be summer.
Can you just describe to me your dresses, your mum's and your dress again?
Like above the ankles but not too far. And like a bell skirt, like it's, you know, the skirt flows. And it has a white apron over it, but we have to do that because we bake bread. I don't know if I'm wearing anything on my head, but I can sense my mother's definitely got the white thing wrapped around her hair, so you don't see her hair, you just see the kind of white hat thing on her head.
When she's younger, when she's talking about herself younger, she's saying that she doesn't have anything on her head. And she's very specific about mum having this wrapped fabric around her head, and that does tie in with that period. If you were a maid or a young girl, you wouldn't really have to have anything on your head. And certainly they're working in kitchens. I don't know whether at that period, you know, health and safety was so big that you needed to have your hair up. I think it would probably have been more that they'd have their hair up because they were older ladies, so it was expected to cover your hair. But a maid or a younger girl wouldn't have needed to have covered her head.
And for some reason that's important because we work in the kitchen. That's how we look in the kitchen. And I can smell baking bread.
I found it quite interesting that she started talking about the smelling of bread. It's really good when somebody starts getting into their modalities and they can smell something, or they can touch it, or they can feel it. Certainly when I had my past life regression, I could actually feel the wood of the table underneath my fingertips when I touched it. And that makes you really feel like you're there. And obviously that was quite a strong sense that she was using.
When Vicky was talking about baking bread during the hypnosis session, then she could actually smell it. And I've mentioned before that people seem to have memories and they seem to be able to remember the smells, the aromas during the hypnotic session. And I think in many ways that makes it more likely that it's a genuine memory. Although I suppose it's possible that could be a figment of the imagination, and everybody knows what bread smells like, and so they can make it up. But my own opinion is that the fact that you smell things is probably making it more likely that it's a genuine memory that you're recalling.
What are the sleeves like on that dress?
Long but quite plain. I don't think we have any. It's functional. We have to make our own clothes, and so we cover our arms and we cover our bodies, but it's functional clothing.
What fabric would you say they are?
It feels like it's not Hessian. It's softer than that, and it might be some kind of wool, but it's weaved. And we don't have many dresses. We don't have lots of clothes. We have clothes that we wear until we replace them. Clothes are for keeping warm.
Okay, I'm going to ask some questions now, and I want you to just accept whatever comes into your mind. It's just your subconscious. Your subconscious knows the answers, so no need to think, just see what comes to you. What's your name?
Margaret.
What's your mother's name?
Keep getting Beth.
What's the family name?
Still getting Johnson, son of John.
What was your dad's name?
Father.
How old are you?
I think I'm 16.
What's the name of the place you're in?
I'm getting Sunbury.
When my stepdaughter Alicia was hypnotised, then she remembered going to Appleby Horse Fair, and I mentioned that to Vicky in the morning of her hypnosis session. To my disappointment, when she was hypnotised, then in her second session, when Vicky was asked where she was, then she said that she was in Appleby, and I realised that I'd planted that name in her mind and that she was recalling a conversation that I'd had with her earlier in that day. This just demonstrates how easy it is to put something into someone's mind and for it to come out as an apparent memory. We have to be very careful to take everything at face value and question things. But interestingly, later in the session, then Vicky corrected it and said that she wasn't in Appleby, she was in Sunbury. And there's a bury there that's consistent with Appleby, and maybe I just confused her, I don't know, but she did correct that later. But the Appleby almost certainly came from the conversation I had with her that morning.
She brings up Appleby. Now, it's not because she's necessarily in her conscious mind. It's not that she's awake and is making things up. It's just that that's gone into the subconscious. It's quite new. It's a new conversation and it's hovering there just below the surface. And it's quite interesting that she mentions it twice, but then later on, when we go back and question her again, she says Sunbury, and then is actually very particular, and that really adds up. And that kind of adds up with the period that she's talking about and the manor house. So it's very important not to lead. So when I ask someone what they're wearing, it's really, I try and be very careful and not say, have you got something on your head? It's more, what are you wearing? can you describe what you're wearing, because we want to keep it clean so it's actually purely coming from their subconscious.
What's the name of the big house?
I'm just getting the manor house.
Later on in that session, Vicky mentioned that she worked with her mother at Sunbury Manor for the Lord of the Manor, I think she described him as. And we'd looked that up, and that has been a Sunbury Manor for a long, long time. And it's entirely possible that that's a genuine memory and that she did work at Sunbury Manor with her mother.
What country are you in?
The Lord lives there.
Mm-hmm. What's the Lord's name?
I don't know. We call him the Lord.
What part of the country is it?
In the south. London is above us. And it's warm, and we grow good crops. We have plenty of harvest. It's a comfortable place to live for food and trade, and we're comfortable with what we produce.
And is that where you come from? Were you born there?
Yes, I've never been anywhere else.
Do you have any siblings?
No, it's just me and my mother.
Okay, I'd like those images and those feelings to fade now. To the next significant, important event that happens in your life. Can you tell me what you find yourself doing now?
I think I'm giving birth to a child.
How old are you?
20-something maybe. I'm older than I was, but I'm not old.
Is it your first child?
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I can feel the strain of the labour. I can feel heat and sweat. There are ladies with me. I think one of them is my mother. I don't know if the birth is going well, but it's really hard and I'm struggling.
Do you know what the baby is yet? Is it a boy or girl?
It's not born, I'm in labour. I'm struggling.
Okay. Just take a deep breath, and as you let that breath out, I want you to just move forward in time, just a short time, and tell me where you find yourself.
I don't see past the labour.
Okay. I want you to let those images and those feelings fade now. And as you sit there and rest, I want you to reflect on the experience that you've had, that experience as Margaret, and allow words of wisdom and knowledge to come to you. Just how do you feel? What was the lesson? How did you feel at the end?
It was too short.
Did you gain any knowledge from that life?
No, it was too short.
Okay. And how do you feel about Margaret?
I wanted more time and more control. I felt quite detached from her at the end. As if I felt it shouldn't have abruptly ended like that. And surprised.
Once again, I found Vicky was very much talking as Vicky, but I think that's her personality, and of course our personalities still come through. We're not suddenly somebody else. But she does say "I think" a lot, but I feel that she's quite a critique of things, so that would probably be her phraseology. She does feel, and she does sense. I think she's quite a sensor. So a lot of people have modalities they work with. They're either very visual, or they're very auditory, or they're very sensual, touchy, and she senses quite a lot of things. I sense that I'm 16. So she is living it. She's kind of just wording it quite differently to a lot of people, which is quite interesting. I found the subject period good because I love the 12th and 13th centuries, so I got quite excited, and I was trying to get out of her what her sleeves were like and you know what was the shape, but she didn't give a huge amount of detail. However, it did come across that it was natural fibres, natural fabrics, probably not dyed, because she's saying sort of very bland colours. It would have been a wool mix. I would have probably pricked up my ears if she'd said cotton, because obviously that isn't of that period. She didn't. She said it was woven. It would have been. So all those things kind of tied in. The head wrap was interesting because she specifically said wrap, and that period they did actually put a piece of fabric and they used to tie it round. So it wasn't like the later centuries where it was almost like gathered, not at all. So that was quite interesting, found that quite good. It's quite unusual to go back as far as the medieval period, not unique, you know, it happens, but for people to go quite far back, that is quite unusual. So it was really quite good that she went back to the 13th century, 1291, and certainly the things that she was describing, the huts and the shape of things, the way she was perhaps barefoot, the way that the huts were in a circle, her clothes, they did very much tie up with the 13th century. I mean, it could have been the 9th century, it could have been any century, but it's that kind of period that it would have all tied together. She mentions that she was working in a manor, working for the manor, and Nigel did a bit of research and there actually was a manor in Sunbury, and it was there from the 9th century, 9th or 10th century, so quite interesting.
The early life that Vicky, I'd say, the life that Vicky remembered in medieval times, 1291 was the year that she mentioned, seemed very believable to me. It seemed like a young girl. She liked playing with the other children. Her clothes seemed to be consistent with that kind of age. It's just a thoroughly believable life. Quite short, very sad. It ended in childbirth. I'm sure that was a lot more common than it is these days, but it was a very believable life.
Eight, coming back, you can open your eyes. 9, 10, mind and body fully refreshed and returned to normal. Wide awake, every part of you back here with me in this room. All natural feelings return to every part of you. Wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Okay.
How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel okay.
You sort of went into kind of life between lives, I think. You went past the life, I think, didn't you?
I was aware
she
that
said, I don't know anything past the death. So it's almost like she'd gone forward.
Oh, I interpreted that as she died in childbirth.
No, yeah.
So she'd gone.
No,
she'd gone past
what
that
I
death.
meant was I didn't see anything after the labour.
So you'd gone back. So I asked you to go forward. So you'd gone forward into nothingness.
There was nothing to go into.
Yeah.
There was nothing after that. Yeah. But what I brought out of it was a really strong sense of a bond with my mother and the importance of motherhood.
That's good. So Sunbury is a place, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not below London, it's to the left of London. There used to be a manor there, but I don't think there is now. And there's lots of association with it in relation to a church, and quite actually a lot of documentation. So great for research. But yeah.
I definitely got a sense when I was in that life that I'd never been outside the village, and I had no sense of geography, so I had no way of knowing what other places were nearby, because that didn't matter because I'd never left the village. So I felt like somebody who's never seen anything other than the walls of their home, if you know what I mean.
If you had thought London was above, you might find that she was actually, her house or her hut was actually facing London.
Yeah.
And that's why.
And it's like, oh,
I had no sense of geography whatsoever, and no sense of it even being remotely relative to my life, because I was basically living the life of a quite young village girl who grew up to help cook in the kitchens. There was no relevance of the outside world to that situation whatsoever.
And son,
I couldn't have even told you if I was anywhere near the coast, you know.
Son of John.
Yeah, Son of John is very.
I kept getting
common
Son
for
of
that.
John, and when you were saying what was the surname, that didn't seem to compute.
Yeah.
It was kind of, I know my dad was called Son of John by people, and I called him Father.
And in that period, they probably wouldn't have been that big on surnames. It would have been Son of John. And little things like the straw on the floor, that's rushes, that's very pertinent to that period.
We didn't have roads between the houses. We just chucked straw down and ran on the straw. And when it got muddy, you put a bit more straw on, kind of thing. That's how it felt.
And the white cap would have been interesting because you weren't wearing one, but you were under a certain age, so you wouldn't have to. And
it was not so much a cap as feeling like it was encompassing her head. Almost like she had to wrap it on her head, kind of thing.
That would have been right.
I didn't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
But it was important that her hair was covered under it.
Yeah, because she was married, so she would have had to have had her head covered.
Oh, right, okay. It just seemed important that it covered all her hair, and I thought that was to do with the cooking, but I had no relevance to it.
Might be reading too much into it, but very interesting how you ended up, you know, surrounded by stable yards and hay in your hair.
I was interested in a few things. Firstly, to start with, you came up with Appleby.
That's what I was going to say.
I mentioned Appleby earlier.
Yeah.
So I think that's
it didn't feel right.
Later, you swapped to Sunday.
There was something that when I was trying to think of the mother's name, I was getting all sorts of weird names and none of them felt right. But when I was grown, I had more of a sense of what was around me. So I felt like when I first went in there, I was a very young child, and it wasn't my business to know stuff like that. So I was just grasping at things that I've heard people around me saying and thinking, oh, that could be it.
And that's because we still have a conscious mind going on, whether we're in the in subconscious or not.
But when I got to being the teenage girl, the older girl, then I had far more of a sense of how people were interacting around me and what they were calling my mother and what they were calling where we lived. And, you know, you didn't say the Lord, he was the Lord, that was it. And I wouldn't have been anywhere near somebody who dared to call him by his proper name, so I wouldn't know what his name was. But I knew that people called my mother Beth, whereas when I was a little child, I wouldn't have, she was mum, kind of thing. So it was kind of, oh, what do other people call her? Oh, I don't know, kind of. And I felt like that.
And you were very adamant father was father, which would have been probably that kind of thing.
Yeah, I definitely felt, would you call him father?
My second thing was in the first life was really amusing that you had a beard. Because Vicky likes, in this life, she hates it when I haven't got a beard.
I don't I don't feel that men without beards are manly. I've still
how
got
interesting.
That very strongly.
Joseph, she had a beard.
Yeah.
See, I'm
and my father's had beards.
I cannot bear beard, and there's a particular type of goatee beard that is around the sort of late 14th, 15th century, and I absolutely hate it. And I was taken back to a life where my husband was quite brutal and pushed me down the stairs, and he had this particular beard. And
Yeah,
the weird
it's
thing is,
association.
my husband, my when I was married, was always clean shaven, and then all of a sudden he grew this beard, and
Couldn't stand
things
it.
started going downhill after that.
Right, yeah.
I've
I
got a
don't
real
find that
thing
surprising at
against
all.
moustache. I have
Really,
said to
isn't
my
that
boyfriend, he
interesting?
joked about, I'm going to just leave a moustache when I
Ah.
shave, and I said, I will wax your face in your sleep.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not happening.
That's what I used to say to my husband. I'm like, I hate it. I used to find it almost aggressive.
Yeah.
I find like that. I don't mind beard, but there's this very
I
specific.
do think
that
sometimes
Vicky
you
beard,
carry
it's more there.
associations.
Yeah, isn't that
Yeah,
funny?
that is very funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hadn't actually picked up on that,
How
but I had a
interesting.
clear vision of when I was being the merchant